So everybody, so make sure I didn't forget that. So, all right, guys, let's get started. I'll let people pile in. My name's Kurt Anderson. Honor, privilege to be here. So for our esteemed panel, guys, we're going to be recording this. And again, we'll probably have a little bit of a light crowd today, but we'll have great, juicy content that I'm going to be handing off to you guys. You guys can share as you please. Nancy, my dear friend from Custom Direct Inc. in the great city of Chicago. Give a little quick introduction to yourself, would you please?
Thank you, Kurt. Custom Direct, we are an agency that works with firms in the industrial sector, so manufacturers and anyone who works and supports manufacturing. And we literally just help them grow. Whatever those growth goals look like, we're there to help. We've had some great success. We've got some tremendous processes that really work that we're going to be talking about today. And I got to tell you, when Kurt put this together, I've been looking forward to it ever since that first conversation. So I just want to say congratulations to everybody that's making the time today, or if you're going to watch this later, because you are really using your time very, very wisely today. If there's one thing I could slightly disagree with Kurt on, e-commerce is not just about cart functionality, and the headline I think that everyone should have in their minds is this is a sales channel that you simply cannot ignore. And Kristina is going to be explaining an amazing alternative to true cart functionality. So congrats to everyone spending the time today. Hope you got lunch at your desk, because this is, I think, going to open your eyes to just some tremendous opportunities to really grow your business. Can't wait to jump in.
Nancy, and we are exactly on the same page. And just for the record, as a matter of fact, I might have a trivia question. And Nancy, if anybody gets my goofy trivia question, you know what? They win my mom's favorite book. You know, my mom's favorite book, Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. We go into like multiple. It's not just that e-commerce shopping cart. We're going to talk about a lot of juicy things today. So, and you hit something right on the head. You know, like kudos and congratulations to everybody. Like, we're here together. You're on, you know, you're in a safe place. We're here to unleash your potential, man. And there's no greater, what a great segue for my next friend. How about Kristina Harrington, CEO and co-founder of GenAlpha Technologies. Kristina, give us a big Milwaukee shout out, will you please?
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know if that I can top Nancy and already all her expectations for this show, but I am so delighted to be here and happy that all of you are here with us as well. I am, Kurt's going to be referring to me as Kristina. Most of my friends call me Chris, but because we have two Chris's in the room today. So Chris Harrington from GenAlpha. Our solution is a software solution for equipment manufacturers and aftermarket organizations. You can see on my shirt, it says Equip 360. That's the name of our solution. It's really designed to be 360-degree support for the equipment over its useful life. So we really enable manufacturers to ease the process of doing business with them. In today's digital age, that comes with digital technology. So I'm looking forward to jumping into all the different aspects related to that.
Well, Kristina, my dear friend, and we just got together for dinner like a month ago, man, and just made big hugs to you right now. And guys, thank you for joining us. Hey, Noah is here from big CEO from Above the Fray. Aaron Hunt, as I mentioned, a lot of the Above the Fray team. I'm going to segue to my friend Christopher, Andrea from my friend from Alaska. So we've got some Alaska folks here coming bright and early today. Guys, do me a favor. Let's do this. Please, please, please grab your LinkedIn profile. Drop it in that chat box. If you're not active on LinkedIn, grab your website. If we were on person, we'd be high-fiving, hugging, and be handing out business cards. This is a great networking opportunity here today. You never know, like, you know, you can meet best friends, lifelong friends, business partners, collaborators. And just speaking of collaborators, this next gentleman, dude, and I don't know, when he retires from like just crushing it in e-commerce, he needs his own talk show, because there's nobody that's more well-spoken and wittier than my dear friend Christopher Carson in the great city of Portland, Oregon. Christopher, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Thanks, Kurt. You're the best hype man in the business. I really appreciate it. Hard to live up to that, but I'll do my best. My name is Christopher Carson. I'm based out of beautiful Portland, Oregon. Noah's actually in Milwaukee this morning, Chris. So you guys may need to find some happy hour.
All right.
So he's out visiting the fine folks at AEM and catching a Brewers game while he's there. So I am my official title is COO, VP of client services for Above the Fray Design. We are a e-commerce implementation agency. So we really lead with strategy and design, and have a very talented, fantastic team of technical architects, developers, really anything that you need with regards to supporting, redesigning, replatforming along the lines of e-commerce. We are a team that you may turn to. We do have a special love and emphasis on manufacturers. We love the puzzles that manufacturers kind of bring to bear. Our team that we've brought together come from a lot of different backgrounds and have a real unique set of skills to bring to bear for manufacturers with very specific and complex variety of sales channels in particular. So if you're looking to integrate an e-commerce platform with some custom software that you guys use internally for your specific sales channels, ERP, CRM, those are the types of puzzles that we really like to nerd out on and help you guys knock it out of the park.
I love it. Nerd out we do, Chris. As a matter of fact, I think we have multiple calls this afternoon. So I've had the honor and privilege. I work closely with the Above the Fray team, and I brought in this esteemed panel of high-level industrial experts because I feel like they fall in like different lanes. Okay. Maybe there's a little bit of a crossover, but Nancy does her jam. Phenomenal job, does a lot of work with IMEC, the Illinois MEP. A lot of our friends are from the MEPs, whatever state you're coming from. Marsha's here from Chicago. Marsha, I miss you, my friend. Happy Tuesday to you. Saw Derek here. Again, like all sorts of great friends. If you guys are just joining us, Dan Miller, thank you. Derek, Hannah, Jared, I mentioned you, Justin, Kyle. Thank you guys for joining us. Drop your LinkedIn, drop your website. Great opportunity to get to know each other. But again, I've had the honor and privilege working on multiple projects with Christopher and the team of Above the Fray. And Nancy, we're going to dive into like multiple different strategies on e-commerce. But with that being said, Kristina Harrington, my esteemed friend, CEO of GenAlpha Technologies, you are the queen of digital self-serve. Can you please elaborate to our friends in our audience, what on goodness gracious what does it mean, digital self-serve, and why should they know this?
Yeah, so digital self-service really refers to the ability for customers to access information, perform tasks, and interact with a company's products or services through online channels without the need for direct human assistance. Okay, so when we really think about digital self-service, that's what we're talking about. And I was thinking this morning I was watering the garden, and I was thinking about how this applies in my personal life, because I think as we talk about the stories that are human for us, I'm a big Starbucks drinker, so that's what's convenient and local to me. Starbucks has an app where I can order my drink and go pick it up, so I don't have to go through the drive-through. I don't have to stand in line to order my beverage. I simply order the beverage through the app, go in, run in, pick it up, and I'm out the door, and I've got the coffee that I need for the day, right? I have a propane tank here on the farm. So when we bought our little slice of heaven here 8 years ago, originally, I always had two questions for Lakes Gas Company, and they were, when can I get my gas tank full? Or can I pay my invoice, right? So I had to physically call them in the past or mail my invoice, but then I didn't get the discount if I would do it that way. So now, 8 years later, they have a self-serve portal where I log in and I can easily order my gas to my propane tank and I can pay my invoice right there, right? So these are very real examples. Target is a great example of, I love sometimes a shopping experience and I want to walk through Target, but there are other times where I just need to reorder some things that I don't have the time to make a trip. I can either have it ordered and delivered to my home for ease, and I never had to talk to anybody. I didn't have to go anywhere. I just log in with my account. They know who I am. They know my past history, and I can easily order. And then, things like processing returns today. Returns can be very complicated in some businesses, especially in manufacturing, and we can jump into that. But there are a lot of things that I purchased today that I can easily return without ever talking to somebody. And this is where digital self-service has really come into our own personal lives. And as we think about manufacturers and the manufacturing industry and why this is important, it's important because this is the way that people want to do business. Not all people, but there is a growing population of people who are using digital solutions to get their work done easier. And if we can all agree that we want to create frictionless experiences for our customers, digital is a great way to do that. And I always like to tell people to think about.
I think Kevin is on. Hey, Kevin, let's see. We might have to throw Kevin on mute.
That's all right. So yeah, if we think about all the different questions that come into our business, if you think about your customer service department, your technical service department, your sales team, the types of questions they get over the phone, the types of questions they get through email, through text, there's usually a common theme of questions that come in. And, you know, in our world, that's when is my product going to arrive? What is some search? What product do I need? What is the price? Do you have the product in stock? How quickly can I get it? I can go through, you know, can I get a copy of my invoice? Can I pay my invoice? These are common questions and themes that come up across the businesses that we assist. And now we can offer that to customers, dealers, and users of any kind through a digital channel to make it more convenient for those that want that opportunity. And that frees up time. If you as a manufacturer, you think about where the greatest time is spent on those teams, sales, customer service, technical support, it's in the administrative tasks associated with answering these questions. And if you can remove that from your organization and make it available online, now you've freed up all this time to answer the more complex and have those people really be working on the things that are moving your business forward. So when I talk about self-serve, these are the things that we're talking about. It's relevant in our personal lives. We're seeing the adoption of these. I think I just saw something recently. It's something like 85% of adults in the US own a smartphone, and 96% of adults age 18 to 29 own a smartphone. And that's where people are searching and looking for information and products and services. So you want to have your products there digitally for them to self-service and answer their own questions.
And if I can jump on that too, just to prove how antisocial in a sense we've become, building on those statistics. It's a stunning statistic when you look generationally. So perhaps the newest folks entering the workforce, it's over 90% of them will do all of their research online and literally narrow down who they want to do business with before they ever reach out. And that's a stunning number, 90%. And those for folks under 26 and younger. So they're not even going to send you an email. They're not even going to fill out a form. They're going to actually decide who they want to work with based on what they found online, and then they'll reach out. So if you haven't made your case online, you're not even going to be in the running. And that's absolutely the way we see things going. And for anyone that's holding out, kind of wondering, okay, Kristina, that sounded really good. Think back to the very beginning when we first had FAQs, frequently asked questions. And look at how iteratively, just over the last handful of years, how those have now developed into chatbots. And those were kind of simplistic at first, and now they're really sophisticated. And you can get almost any question you want answered with a chatbot. If I can jump in with a personal experience with Xfinity, our local internet provider, I actually wanted to talk to somebody live. I couldn't even get through to anybody live. I had to go through the chatbot, and man, they didn't have the answer to my question. But anyway, but the whole point is there are so many opportunities now and so many tools that can bring that prospect to that looky-loo, to being a prospect, to actually being a customer, so much simpler now without you spending any of your time or anyone on your team spending their time.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Nancy. And hey, I'm going to give a couple of quick shout outs to folks. So my cousin, Mike Anderson, we're not cousins, but when we pretend that we are. So he's over the border from our friend Nancy in Chicago. He's in East Chicago, or actually over in Indiana with the Purdue MEP. He's with Steel City Steels. Michael, thank you. And how about, Diane Byers here? Diane, thank you. We love you, sister. Appreciate you being here. But how about, could everybody do me a favor? Let's give a huge congratulations. Thayer is in the house. Thayer just got married last week. God bless him. He's with Christopher's team at Above the Fray. Drop a little congratulations in the chat box. Thayer, we're sending you tons of love, my friend. And just congratulations to you and your beautiful wife, and just a lifetime of happiness and love. And we're just thrilled for you. Can't wait to talk to you. Nancy, let's dig right in. Let's continue this conversation. So Kristina, I love what you're saying. Our tagline is, how do you help that ideal buyer make a buying decision on a Friday night at midnight without having to wait for you to open up your door on Monday morning? Just think about what a competitive advantage that you create. Nancy, let's hit. So you do amazing work, Impact. We talk about the work at Impact with all of our MEPs. You had $3.8 million of impact in 2022. You know how it's done. Share with folks a little bit of like e-commerce. We won't go super deep because they're going to have to reach out to you and you can take it deeper. And you have a little checklist for everybody at the end. Share with everybody a little e-commerce 101, if you would.
So e-commerce is the fastest growing sales channel in manufacturing today by a large margin. And that's no surprise for all the reasons that Christine gave and the tools that are available. And I'm not going to jump ahead, but for anyone that's sitting here today that maybe they're joining for whatever reason, but you're thinking, I know that our company is never going to go with full cart functionality. Just wait, because Christina's going to talk to you about configurators in a little bit. And if there's one thing that I find consistently surprises folks, is that configurators exist, and yet the impact that they make is as tremendous as full cart functionality, and depending on your business, even bigger than that. So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on configurators because that's going to be a fun conversation. But when it comes to e-commerce, just please keep in mind that we use it as kind of a broad term, whether you're actually purchasing or perhaps you're going with a configurator, which is like a sophisticated conditional logic RFQ. So regardless, you're making decisions as a consumer, as a potential customer, and you're making decisions on products that you would like to purchase from the website that you're on right now. We've got a tried and true process that works for us. And this isn't me shilling, this is just explaining that, to be brutally honest with you, we didn't have this process until about 4.5 years ago where we nailed it down. And so I love to share it and help everyone understand it's a really straightforward approach, and we do it the exact same way each time. The websites all look different, but our process is rock solid. And Kurt really nicely mentioned the impacts. The impacts are tremendous for the folks that we have the pleasure of working with. And what that process looks like for an e-commerce site is something that's called an overview and pre-development report that we've developed here at Custom Direct. And what that does is it enables us to do a deep dive into all the integrations, all of the existing content, and most importantly, all of those details that will be part of, say, a cart functionality. And keep in mind when Kristina talks about configurators, oftentimes that as well. But it's the methodology of gathering all of that information and then putting it together in a very straightforward report. Really think of it like a blueprint, just like you would have an architect put a blueprint together for a building that you'd like built. Same too with your website. So this overview and pre-development report goes through and thoroughly assesses every key component of your website and presents it to you before anything is built. Now, I want to just mention, for us, the way we handle it, we don't put any design information in there. We don't talk about colors. We don't talk about anything like that at all. We talk about navigation, what that sitemap would look like. We talk about the actual content per page in terms of blocking things out so that you understand where we would recommend additional content. And I think we're all in the same boat on this. Oftentimes, the biggest challenge when you're shifting from a traditional website to e-commerce is the volume of content that's going to need to be created in order to make that a really robust e-commerce site. And not just for the products themselves. Often those other supplemental pages also need more content added. And then last but not least, there's the schedule, there's the budget considerations and all that kind of good stuff that we wrap up into this report. And we've just found it to be tremendously beneficial. Folks love it. They love to kind of get their heads around what the whole project scope looks like in a very detailed fashion with a lot of research in it. But, Kurt really nicely mentioned this checklist. And if there's one other thing, I got to admit, I'm in my mid-50s, I'll admit it, and I love checklists. I always have. I don't know what it is. I'm a nerd that way. If I ever got a tattoo, it would be a checklist. I don't know of what, but it would be a checklist. And don't use that for the sound clip either. But anyway, I just love them. Like,
Won't happen.
Okay, but I just love the methodology. And I think it's because I just lean into the organizational side of things. And so it really helps move me through a thought process. And so when it comes to this checklist, it really helps folks understand, and like Kurt said, we're going to throw it out if anybody wants it. We'll put the link up there, or you can just reach out to me, whatever. But this checklist really helps you understand the key components of building an e-commerce site. First and foremost, there's a list of the assumptions that we make as developers. Here's all the things that we're going to assume, and it has to do with we're going to put things in pounds rather than ounces. Of course, unless you've got really tiny objects, but we're going to talk about US dollars. We're going to assume that you're talking about shipping to the continental United States, unless you indicate otherwise, and things like that. But then we break it down into these really key areas: product details, shop details, payment options, and shipping options. So there's these 4 kind of big buckets. And we list all of the options right there, all of the details that you need to have. And it's so helpful because I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, anybody, I think the biggest challenge, what holds folks back from wanting to embrace any kind of an e-commerce solution is, geez, we don't have time. I'd love to do it, but I don't know that we have time, and I don't know what you're going to need, but you know what, we're swamped as it is, and I'm not sure. When you hand them a checklist and you can say, okay, this is exactly what we're going to need. We've got folks that we give the checklist to, and maybe we don't hear anything for 90 days. We follow up. We don't want to badger anybody, but they're busy pulling all that information together so that when we do meet again, we can just hit the ground running. They've done their due diligence. They've gathered all the information, and then we're not really bothering anyone. I shouldn't say bother, but we're not. We're not reaching out. Oh yeah, what about this one more thing? What about this one more thing? And to be brutally honest with you, up until about 5 years ago, we were. Things would just naturally, we wouldn't think of them. But between the overview and pre-development report and now this checklist, we're golden. We're just hammering these websites out, and they're doing phenomenal. And so, I suppose that's a little embarrassing to admit, but we learned. We learned the hard way. Let's get all this out at the very beginning. Let's be very methodical with our process.
Well, we all live and learn, Nancy. That's fantastic. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, we've got Nancy from Custom Direct Inc., my dear friend, Kristina Harrington, CEO of GenAlpha Technology. We're going to pull in my dear buddy batting third, that's usually your heavy hitter, batting third. Now, if you have a question, I did see Justin, and Justin, I see you have a question about video. We're going to come back to that. And just to let you guys know, we do live streaming with the Alaska MEP. We have some dear friends from Alaska here today. We have Jeff Long, video marketing guru, and we're doing a LinkedIn Live at the Alaska MEP with Jeff Long this Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Alaska time. You do not want to miss Jeff Long. But Christopher Carson, let me get you on stage here, my friend. Dude, we're working on multiple projects, and I learned so much from the entire team at Above the Fray. You guys do high level, a lot of Magento, Adobe, which is kind of the same thing. You guys do BigCommerce, some bigger, juicier projects. When you're targeting, as Nancy's describing, say there's the solo marketer out there, the entrepreneur, the manufacturer that's new to this big, daunting, overwhelming e-commerce. What I've really learned from you guys, you love breaking it down into palatable bites and buckets and phases. Christopher Carson, could you please kind of walk folks through that e-commerce strategy, keys to success from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually do have a checklist tattoo, but I can't show it here. I'm very much the same way. I love the steps to really be mapped out. Who's doing what when? Anyone from my team that's on here has probably heard that 16 times today already from me. I think, all projects are a little bit different. But to Nancy's point, something I love that you said is, the site may be different, but our process remains the same. And that's not always easy to do. I mean, we've got a lot of different types of personalities, preconceived notions about how things are going to go. The exact nature of what it is that we're doing together is often misunderstood. So I think the first step to success from my perspective is choosing the right partner that's a good fit with the people on your team leading the project. Your teams will be working hand in hand on a critical and oftentimes expensive endeavor. And so I think, chemistry between those people working together on this and developing trust is really important, because it can be scary. This is outside of a lot of our clients' comfort zone. And so, having that we call our project manager leading the project, the captain, right? I'll be your captain on the flight. And so you're really putting, your some of your doubts and fears in the hands of this person. So that choice, I think, is critical. Next, I'd say, recruiting support from stakeholders across your organization. I see a lot of projects that are the foundation was based on a sales driving the initiative or marketing driving the initiative, but getting campaigning even for support across the organization is critical to really filling in all of the pieces of the map that you need to understand to have a successful implementation. And ask those folks across the organization 3 questions. What do we have to keep doing? What do we have to stop doing? And what do we need to start doing? That's 3, not 2, sorry. Number 1 is the one I most often see overlooked or underemphasized, if you will. And that was, what do we have to keep doing? This is the one that the other 2 drown out keep doing sometimes. And it can lead to really unfortunate and costly misses that don't rear their head until the 11th hour of your project. Oh, we didn't really think about that. And we're missing a really mission critical piece of our business that was not really solved for as we were putting together our checklists, Nancy. Thank you. And if you're in a project leadership position, seeking input from customer service, from sales, marketing, production, operations, your dealers, your customers. I mean, there's a lot of really important information that you can be getting from these sources, and you should. And give your development partner access to those stakeholders as well. Allowing those different perspectives to weigh in can really help get their buy-in in the long run, and almost always provides an aha moment or two for the teams writing the requirements, drafting the designs, and prioritizing what makes it into the product roadmap, where and when.
Dude, that was like a drop the mic right there, everybody. How about that one, Christopher Carson, man? That was, I love it. I dropped in the chat box. Keep doing, stop doing, start doing. And we have another number of solo marketers and even solopreneurs, Christopher. So let's talk to the solopreneurs real quick. And then, super short, because Chris, can you see Kristina? She's chomping to talk about configurators. And I think the whole panel, we might have to geek out. The whole panel is going to geek out. But Christopher, when you're talking to the solo marketer, the solopreneur, where maybe they don't have that the bandwidth or the team, what advice, suggestions, words of wisdom do you have for those folks?
I think, there's so many things. I think it's all about vision, right? And the mindset that you approach it with. It's so important to recognize that this is a constant evolution and sometimes revolution of your business, not a one-time transaction for a product or a line of code or a piece of software. You're really going to have to invest continually in the evolution of that business unit that you're creating or improving on. And to think that it's going to be, you know, transactional in nature or a one-time event is not the right approach.
Hey, Christopher, I love that. Really quick, if I can say iterative. So maybe that's the second tattoo I'd ever get. The checklist and then the word iterative, especially with solopreneurs that we work with and entrepreneurs. We really talk about iteratively. You know, we don't have to, whatever that old expression is about eating the whole elephant at once or kind of gross, but you know, just think about that, you know, where do you want to get, where do you want to go ultimately? And let's start just talking iteratively. Let's take this first step. And then here's maybe what a next step might look like. But we all know things change. Companies' finances change, leadership changes. And so if you get too far ahead of your skis, you know, you're going to fall over. And so we found just using the word iterative is really helpful. It kind of keeps everyone in the right frame of mind. You know, we're not there to soak or to gobble up an entire budget. You know, we're there to iteratively get them moving in the right direction.
Well, that's
Yeah, and
fantastic.
I'll just
Please,
add to
Chris.
that too.
Mhm.
You know, this is a continuous journey. Anybody, whether you're a solopreneur, you're a large organization, you're a billion plus organization, wherever you are, it's never going to be perfect. As much as we really want it to be, it's just not. The truth is, you're going to start and have a vision for how you want to start. And then please have some goals. You need to have some specific goals you're trying to achieve when you start, because that's going to help you know directionally, are you headed where you thought you were going to be? And as things do change, you can modify, and that's where your iterative is going to come in. And what I always like to say about digital is that there's so much data that becomes available to you in your business that you don't have if you're not using these tools that can help you refine your approach anyway. So where you may start, you know, your customers, your dealers are going to drive where you keep moving based on their behavior and how they're using your solution. And maybe just one more thing that I want to make sure before we jump to configurators is that these tools are not just a place to sell. This is a place for information. Remember, customers are having a relationship with you online, and it's a place they go for information, all kinds of information. So sometimes when we talk about conversions on a website, and ultimately you want to drive more sales, as Nancy mentioned, this is a sales channel, but people are going to do more than buy from you in this channel. And we really need to be thinking about that. So when you take that iterative approach and you have some goals, sometimes it's just releasing the burden of things that are coming to your business that you can't get to in a timely fashion. And if you made that available through a logged in area or something, or even available publicly on your website so people can access that information, it relieves some of the pressure and you can start working on other things. So you have to find where are the pressure points in your business, use these tools to relieve some of that. And that's how you just keep iteratively getting better as well.
Wow. Okay, man, is this fire or what, guys? How about, okay, chat box, please put your questions in the chat box. If you just joined us, or even if you did before, do it after, drop your LinkedIn. Please do yourself a favor. Thank me later. Connect with my friend, Nancy O'Leary, connect with Kristina Harrington, connect with Christopher Carson, because these guys are just fire. And let's look at this. All right, Chris Harrington, we're going to dig into configurators. Mike Henderson from MT Solar just joined the crowd. If you guys, a month ago, he came on our live show, and they're a solar panel manufacturer in the great state of Montana. They've created their own configurator where it's a 3D rendering. You can create your own solar panel. Mike Henderson, if you want to drop your website into the chat box, I would absolutely love that. I actually have a post going out on Thursday with a little clip of Mike Henderson and the CEO, Travis, doing a deep dive on that configurator. So guys, we're going to dig into configurators. Kristina Harrington, what on God's green earth is a configurator? Can you please walk everybody through? And I'm going to hit the whole panel. Nancy, I know you're just smiling ear to ear. Kristina, kick us off as our leadoff hitter. Then I'm going to hit the whole panel on what is a configurator. Let's go there.
Yeah, sure. So configurators are really, think about them as interactive tools that are available typically online that enable customers to choose specific options and attributes according to their specific preferences and requirements, right? So these selected options and attributes typically build a bill of materials that will later be manufactured and shipped to customers. So typically they are used in a more complex, non-standard product situation. So let's give some examples of configurators, because I know these will make sense to everybody. A whole goods configurator. Think about a custom bicycle configurator, which lets customers customize their bicycles by selecting the frame type, the gear ratio, the handlebar style, and color options. So it becomes a very personalized bicycle for that person according to their need. In our world, configurators are used a lot for product upfit. So if you think about a commercial vehicle upfit configurator, it enables customers to upfit commercial vehicles like vans or trucks with specific accessories, shelving, racks, and additional features based on their business needs. Or if we think about a configurator, another upfit type configurator in the equipment industry, which would allow customers to customize construction equipment such as excavators or bulldozers with attachments, buckets, and other accessories for various applications. They can be used by custom manufacturers. They can be used in parts for parts kitting. So if you think about building a kit that would go along with a piece of equipment. Right now we have a manufacturer who is building a configurator for their springs. The size of these springs are very large. They have different diameters according to where the spring is being used, and they have different applications. So the questions narrow down what's required, and they can order specifically what they need. So when we talk configurators, there's many different places we can go, but that's really what I'm defining here, Kurt.
All right, perfect. Nancy, why don't you pick up right where Chris left off? And again, like you're big on WordPress, if I'm not mistaken. So Chris is with GenAlpha Technologies. That's a SaaS tool. It is amazing, incredible, powerful tool. I have, as a matter of fact, Chris, I think I'm going to drag you. We did a great little trial run back in December. We had our winter hats on. If you guys saw my LinkedIn profile today, we had a great little post from there. Nancy, talk to the folks about your perspective on configurators, RFQs. Let's go there.
So thanks so much. So totally, man, like, you know, not even 2 thumbs up. It's like all 10 fingers and 10 toes, the whole bit. Absolutely. The only thing I'll add is where we dig in a little bit differently is working with folks who have systems. So for instance, we're working with a lubrication company. They have 3 parts to their business. One is the actual lubrication, another is the cleanup equipment, and then the other is the actual machinery that performs automated lubrication. So things that would need to go down more or less like in a simplistic form, like a conveyor belt, and would need to be lubricated. Those are very complex systems. There's more than 10 levels of decisions that need to be made in the configurator that we've built for them. And it varies from the type of roller to the roller size, both top and bottom. It has to do with where the solenoids are put. It has to do with where the lubrication is coming from, the size of the container. It has to do with the type of power and where those power sources are located. There's just a whole series of decisions that need to be made. And it's a game changer for this company because previously you can imagine how a sales conversation would go. Someone would reach out, they'd fill out a relatively static RFQ form. And, you know, naturally, there's a whole lot of questions that weren't even asked because they're just kind of answering some drop downs and some radio buttons and maybe a text box. And then you need to have a call and you need to have this whole conversation and get through all the nitty gritty. But as Kristina so beautifully explained at the beginning, man, we're not there anymore. You know, we're moving toward people want to get all that research done. And that's what configurators do. They have this beautiful ability to put all the questions that you would ask somebody on the phone or through a whole series of emails into one concise conditional logic type RFQ for folks that are maybe thinking that way. And it's beautiful. It's truly something to behold. The impacts are incredible. And that's not to say that it has to be an either or, whether it's a configurator or you have a cart on your website. In fact, most of the time you have both for those complex systems that you can't just do a one and done click. I want one of these, 4 of these, and maybe add that on. Now there's more decisions that need to be made. That's where configurators, no pun intended, they do heavy lifting, and they take that sales prospect into almost the very end of the prospecting phase. Imagine the credibility that you now have with that prospect, because you've got something that addresses all the questions that they didn't even know they had and that they should be asking. And now when somebody reaches back out to them, they've got answers. I mean, you're jump starting that conversation or jumping ahead, my gosh, weeks, probably more than anything. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Perfect. All right. Fantastic. And what I did is I dropped a couple links in the chat box. We did the interview with my dear friend, Mike at MT Solar, and you can take a look at their configurator. I dropped the interview with Chris that we did. She took us through a wonderful trial run on her configurator. Christopher Carson, I'm going to come to you in 1 second. What I'm going to do is somebody drop me a note like, hey, can you show me examples? So I don't know if anybody on our panel, because we have a lot of solopreneurs on here. I'm going to share a screen super quick. And hey, Chris, how about that? Look, it's only 5 months of Christmas today, guys. I don't know if anybody's stressed out as much as I am. You got 5 months of Christmas, but there's Kristina and I celebrating a little Christmas. But I'm going to show you a super quick configurator. This is again for our solopreneurs. The team above the Fray, they do really sophisticated configurators. Chris does a wonderful job. Nancy, you and I need to geek out further, but I just want to show you, it doesn't matter what the product is, just the theory and the concept of how simple this is. So my friend Don in Alaska, Andrea in Alaska, if you're a solopreneur and you're like, hey, wait a minute, this is a little daunting, overwhelming. Let me just show you how simple this can be, okay? This is a dear client of ours. They manufacture these little goofy things called ground straps. I'm going to run through this super quick, all right? Doesn't matter what the product is, and it's almost like just making a t-shirt. So they make these little things called ground straps. Everything that draws a current needs to be grounded. Why? Because otherwise you'd look like me, Nancy O'Leary. It's not good. You'd be a little electrified, right? So if you want a ground strap, hey, do I want it leaded or unleaded? Let's go leaded. I want a 1/2 inch. Let's go like maybe 9 inches. Let's hit next. How about what size stud ring do you want? Let's get a number 8. Let's get a number 10. I hit next. Hey, wait a minute. I'm confused. Here's a little video right here. If I'm confused, because we want them to make that buying decision on a Friday night at midnight before waiting for you to open up your door on Monday morning. I hit next again. Hey, this is the orientation that I want. So I hit this button. I hit next. Hey, wait a minute. They're building my little product over here to the right, and the recipe is over here to the right, so I can go along with them. Do I want heat shrink? I'm going to say, no, I don't need any heat shrink. How many do I want? I want 100. I hit next. Guys, I just created my own ground strap. It literally took that fast. I don't want another one. I put in my information and I am done. It took less than 60 seconds. And what it's done, it gives this company this huge competitive advantage. They get leads from like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, major Fortune 500 companies. And this is a small manufacturer, 30, 40 employees. This has been a total, complete game changer, home run for this company. Christopher Carson, my friend, please talk to us a little bit about RFQs, configurators from the above the Fray perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, nothing gets ATF more excited than configurators. Our co-founder, Aaron Hunt, has really put some great work in on some kind of off-the-shelf foundation for configurators. And we've had the opportunity to build some really cool ones. Our developers get excited about it. Our technical architects get excited about it. I get excited about it. If you have a line of products that are made to order, this is like taking that sales channel and transforming it from a 2-lane road to a 8-lane interstate highway. I mean, it really is opening things up for your customers, and the way that you can design those and make those visually appealing is also really exciting for users as well. So, I think whenever we see an opportunity to work with someone on a configurator, we get giddy and, maybe get a little bit ahead of ourselves even, because it's kind of the funnest part of the business right now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And again, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, please connect with the folks, but drop it in the chat box. We're going to hit questions as we go along. Justin dropped a comment, a lot like the book, They Ask You Answer. Hey, our dear friend Nicole Donnelly, who's on a wonderful family vacation. I think she's in Yellowstone today, possibly. And she just interviewed the gentleman, Marcus Sheridan, who wrote the book, They Ask You Answer. So if you want to check it out, go to Nicole's website, check out this wonderful podcast that she did with Marcus Sheridan. In one of our taglines, you guys come to our live streams on Mondays and Fridays or any of our jam sessions, we have a little tagline that we love to use. It's how to out-teach the competition. How do you dedicate yourselves to out-teaching the competition? Kristina, Harrington, let's go there, my friend. Let's talk a little bit about how can we help out-teach the competition? You know, you've really stepped up your game. You and I met through COVID. We've been dear besties ever since. And let's talk a little bit about how out-teaching the competition is so important to tie in with your e-commerce and digital marketing, digital sales growth strategy.
Yeah, I think, in today's day and age, we move people when we educate them in something that is new and meaningful to them, that's going to help them grow. I know when people help me grow because I've learned something new or I have a new awareness, I'm eternally grateful. It is those moments that really help me to expand. And I think as leaders in this space, our goal is to help people be successful with these tools, no matter, again, the size of the organization. So what happens, and the reason why all of us from different organizations can be on a same panel together is because we are advocates for the adoption of these tools, because we know this is the future. So when we talk about out teaching, we're really educating and making people aware of where business is headed and how manufacturers can get themselves there iteratively, not, chewing off everything all at once, taking that, I always like to say, use the Pareto principle and use that 80-20 rule can really come into great, service here. And, at GenAlpha Technologies, we've put a lot of time and effort into content that supports everyone in this space. And so if you went to our resources section, we just released an article about how to write a business case for getting digital commerce or e-commerce into your business, because we are consistently asked to help companies write that business case, right? So the only way we can help manufacturers achieve these goals and ultimately use these tools is if we help them along the way. And I think that's what we're all here doing. I do also believe that the customers, the manufacturers who adopt these tools will end up educating better their customers, their dealers, their support network on how to use their tools better. It actually makes everyone better in the process. So if you're struggling out there to hire and get the next generation of employees onto your staff, or your customers are, these tools are necessary, because there won't be time to train all the people that are going to have to come into the organizations and how quickly they are. So utilize digital solutions to help with that training. Visuals, product definitions, descriptions, bills of materials, all of this advances. None of this stuff was in place digitally when I started. And I had to go sit next to an engineer and ask questions. We don't all have that luxury today. Nor should we have to, because there are different tools available. So hopefully I answered your question there, Kurt.
You did. That was fantastic. And again, follow Kristina. She does an amazing job. She has a podcast. Whitney Houston, I saw you drop, she's working with Lori Hybe now. So you're a partner in crime on your podcast. So, follow Kristina on LinkedIn, follow her podcast. She interviews amazing, incredible, wonderful guests. She is purely dedicated to helping out teach the competition and just making you better with your clients, with your customers, and with your goals. Nancy O'Leary, my dear friend, we're coming into time. And Nancy, we have another meeting like right after this. So guys, we're going to wrap up at the top of the hour. Any more questions, drop in the chat box. But Nancy, take us home. How about 2 minutes or less ROI?
ROI, man, glad you asked. So
how can folks look at ROI from their e-commerce strategy?
Okay, so I'm going to give you an iterative example. I'll give you two really quick. But this one just happened last week. So this is someone that we've worked with, and they provide tricalcium phosphate. Now you can all look up what it is later. Basically, it's in everything, and it's domestically sourced right here in Illinois. And so there's a lot of overseas competition, but here in the United States, there's only 3 or 4 companies that even provide it. And so this company is very proud of their made in the USA roots and really lean into it. And this is the perfect case in point of an iterative process. Here's someone that 2 years ago knew that their HTML site was very old, the information wasn't accurate, and it really wasn't working for them. But they didn't have the budget or the time to really dig into a complete rebuild. So we came in and we literally shushed it up. We cleaned it up. We improved the navigation. We followed that methodology, make sure the navigation makes sense, because they had a lot of goofy navigation, make sure that the content makes sense on each page. And they saw such a jump in their engagement and in their sales from that it wrote its own business case. They came back a year later and said, okay, now we're ready for the website. And we said, okay, so let's start talking about a little bit about what that looks like based on our process again, that overview and pre-development report that they use then as their business case. They took the report and said, here, this is what it's going to cost. This is how long it's going to take. Here's all the integrations they need that we need to incorporate, because the next phase will now be a configurator. So we launched their website last week. We are now going to be working on their configurator. But just from building this new website, the amount of traffic that they got, because it's fully SEO optimized, and HTML is great, but there's just so much more you can do in WordPress. So they're not spending a dime on ads, on anything else. This is a website, and I'm gonna cross the great divide and tell you it was less than $20,000. So let's talk ROI. Do you want to know what the bomb was he dropped on us? This is going to make an impact of $4 million on their inventory. $4 million from this website. I'm like,
nice profit.
I could go home now.
You can go. Hey, you know what? You might be able to retire, Nancy O'Leary. So God bless you.
And we're not even to the configurator yet. So I bring this up because this is the perfect example of someone who said, this is where I am and this is where I want to go. And that first conversation that we had, I said, okay, we go with this idea of, do you want to go deep or do you want to go wide when you want to grow your business? Do you want more of the same customers, or do you want to kind of jump outside of your target audience and get somebody new? And he goes, I want to go deep. And he said, we are the best provider of this in this country, and there's no reason why everyone's not buying from us. And I was like, okay, that seemed kind of like a big thing, but I go, okay, fine. And man, we're getting there. And I mean, at this point now, they are just trying like mad to hire. I mean, they need more people. Every time we talk, he's like, okay, you gotta help me get more people. You gotta help me get more people. I'm like, okay. But I mean, so for anyone that's considering, they're really not sure that they're ready, just get going. That getting started is always the hardest part. Get started. And if it needs to be, in your mind, kind of small or not exactly what you thought, lean into professionals, whoever it is that you work with, and say, you know what, how can we go about this iteratively? How can I just get started? Because I know ultimately this is where I want to be. Because we all would have so many incredible examples to give. We've got a solopreneur that we started working with through IMEC 4 years ago. That man is an engineering genius. And we launched his configurator form 6 months ago, and he immediately landed, I think it was, I don't know, $350,000 worth of work almost immediately. And it's a very, I mean, it's a very straightforward configurator. He has this brushless motor technology that he invented, that he holds the patent on. And he's got heavy hitters that are coming after him now that want to use this technology. He's got a nice looking website. It's got all the information there. You can totally geek out on what it is. And he's got the configurator. And that's what's selling it for folks, is they can go in and make the selections on the wattage. And I offhand, I forget what all the other choices are, but there's only like 5 choices that you got to make. And boom, literally 30 days after launch, he's got this huge PO.
Well, congratulations. So, hey, how about a big round of applause for Nancy O'Leary and the team at Custom Direct? And you know what I love to say is my friend Nancy O'Leary, my friend Kristina Harrington, my friend Christopher Carson, you know what they are? They are dream supporters, man. I've never met an entrepreneur that wasn't a dreamer. I've been doing this for a long time. And everybody needs a Sherpa. We can't do this alone. And when you can align yourselves with people that have been there, trust, like Chris, and Nancy, it makes your dreams come true. Christopher Carson, my friend, 2 minutes or less. Take us home, my brother. Let's talk a little ROI. Let's just kick us off on this Tuesday wonderful day. Will you please?
Sure. Yeah. I think, let's go back to checklists to my tattoo.
Can we see it, please?
I think it's about beginning with the end in mind, which has already been said here. It's a great call out. What is it that you're measuring, I think is what's really important. And so if you're looking to automate manual processes and, free up people's time to focus on innovation rather than caretaking, that can be tough to measure. So trying to define exactly what success looks like there is really important. The most obvious one being, revenue, return on investment. So there's a lot of different ways that you can define success, but I think, go out, talk to your customers, talk to your dealers, talk to your salespeople, talk to the folks that are making the products for you. And find out how you can make their lives easier and, make that your dream, and measure your results.
Love it. All right, guys. All right. We're coming. We got like 2 minutes left. Chris Harrington, any last words of wisdom? Anything? We got 1 minute left. Anything you want to share?
Get started. I continue to say that, or if you're already doing it, keep going. You're not done when you launch. This is just like we all pay attention to sales, and it's something we work on over and over again every year. And we have a strategy and we have things that we're trying to achieve. That is this space as well. So you want to get started or keep going.
Get started, keep going, guys. Let's wrap up. I see my friend Jay, Gary, Andrew up in Alaska, Diane, Marcia, Herring. Happy Tuesday, guys. Justin, Mike, Thayer, my cousin, Mike Anderson, John Baglino from New Jersey. Guys, you know what? We have five. We have 5 time zones represented today. So again, I want to, as a matter of fact, I don't know, Christopher Carson, I think some of your team might be here. So we might have more time zones covered than just the 5 for the United States, if I'm not mistaken. But I want to thank each and every single one of you. I commend you. I applaud you as manufacturers, as entrepreneurs. You are truly the heroes and backbone of our economy. For us on stage here, it is always an honor. We never take this for granted. It is a privilege being part of your entrepreneurial journey. God bless you guys. Please reach out with our friends here on LinkedIn. Check out their websites, contact your local MEP. Your MVP can do magic. Nancy, you know firsthand, MEPs can do magic for our manufacturers. My name's Kurt Anderson. I love each and every single one of you, and all of you guys know that dearly. So round of applause for our esteemed panel. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Christopher Carson on the West Coast, Kristina Harrington in Milwaukee, Nancy hanging out in Chicago. God bless you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will see you at the next jam session. I will have this on recording. I'll send it out to you guys. And I wish you guys an amazing, incredible week. We'll see you soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Big love.
Big love, Kristina. Big love to everybody. Thank you, thank you.